gentlemen, welcome to a special Memorial Day episode of the CGC podcast. Just be me in this episode, giving everybody else a little time to spend with their families. I think some people might even be out of town or obviously busy because of the holiday. So tonight or today or this afternoon, whenever you're listening to this, you'll just be getting me. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about. We won't be covering too much in music or movies this week, and probably not much wrestling because I'd rather have the people who are higher level experts or have more invested in that than me talk about it. But I will be covering some gaming stuff and a few television TV show things. Probably not too much, but we'll see how it goes. A lot of times we fly off the cuff here, so just bear with me. Flying solo once again, so it should be an interesting show nonetheless. So obviously, if you have a keen eye, you're noticing that the game on the screen right now is X Defiant. This is the quote-unquote Call of Duty killer by Ubisoft, which, if you're in the know about Ubisoft and their dealings in the last, I would say, year or so, you would be crucially aware of how hilarious that take on what X Defiant is supposed to be is. And we'll get into that in a moment. And actually, if you could bear with me for just a second, I have something I want to dig up for you guys because I want to make sure that I stick to my subjects. So give me 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Had to step away for a second to do something. So subjects we want to go over today in gaming because we're getting close to that time of year where we get all of the conventions and showcases and essentially the stuff that we're supposed to be interested in for the next 6 to 12 months, coming from Sony, Nintendo, and of course Microsoft and the Xbox brand. But I want to tackle the X Defiant subject first, since I've already introduced it. It's funny. There is, as always, a strange level of community discourse when it comes to this game and what it is and what it means for Call of Duty. Also, what it means for Ubisoft and the first-person shooter community at large, right? And I think that both sides are kind of over-exaggerating what this game is going to be and what it's going to mean going forward. And I'll get into that. Let me first say that I enjoy my time with this game. I am currently 6-0, even though my kill death ratio is atrocious. I am 6-0, and it's mainly because I just, I play the objective, because this is as of right now, there's no team deathmatch, there's no free for all, there's no, there's nothing that's not objective based. The closest thing you have to a basic team deathmatch is a mode I believe is called Bounty, which is very, very similar to the dog tag collecting mode in Call of Duty, except for there's like a variation on the end game with that one, right? Whereas like one person can become the bounty, and the bounty, as they collect tags, they get more points. But other than that, you're talking about a game of Battlefield without the vehicles. You're either pushing through or you're capturing points and holding them until you build up to a certain amount of points. Whereas, Battlefield's reverse, you hold points until the other team's tickets are gone. You're trying to build up score instead of dwindle tickets. But yeah, Battlefield setting, right? Anyway, fun game. Very solid gameplay. Feels a little weird because there are things that are, I wouldn't say missing, but purposely aren't put in the game that are put in Call of Duty. What do I mean? Well, for one, there's no skill-based matchmaking. At least not in the casual mode. Now, I'm not sure, and anybody in the comments can correct me on this, but I believe there is some kind of skill-based matchmaking in the ranked mode. But in the basic casual mode, there is no skill-based matchmaking. They don't try to manipulate your experience by having you win some and then lose some when they feel like having you win some and lose some, which is basically what skill-based matchmaking breaks down to, right? There's also a lot less, what do they call it? I guess it's like aim assist. So your reticle does not lock on to targets nearly as much as it does in a game like Call of Duty. And that last one in particular is the one that's really hurting a lot of COD players when they convert over to or try out this game. And convert over might be actually a very bad term because a lot of them hate it, right? They are not enjoying themselves. They're finding it way too difficult to hit targets. They're finding it way too annoying to try and trace someone. I noticed there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Like, you tell people are coming from Call of Duty, a lot of people are like doing jump shots and trying to air strafe. It's a lot of little goofy Call of Duty stuff that you really don't realize how goofy it is until you see players playing other games with similar mechanics trying to do a lot of that stuff. And it happens a lot on this game, right? All that being said, I don't find this game terrible at all. I think it's a solid game. I think it's good to have an alternative. I am an older gamer. I remember a time when I had choices between Madden and Sega Sports Football or NFL 2K. I had choices between NBA Live and NBA 2K, and then there were like third, fourth, and fifth choices from smaller companies. I don't see a problem with the big yearly franchise style games, which is essentially what Call of Duty is now. It's just as bad as any sports game. There's nothing wrong with having alternatives to that, right? That's always a good thing to say, you know what, I don't have to deal with this game this year. I can play something else. However, all that being said, as good as I think this game is, as great as an alternative I think it is, and the price is perfect, right? It's absolutely free. A lot of things are right about this game, but Call of Duty Killer is a reach. And I don't care for Call of Duty. As many of you who are familiar with my channel know, I am a Battlefield guy through and through. But, I'm also realistic about things I like, which is also a very big part of a subject that's going to come up later in this podcast episode. But I know that Battlefield's chances of taking any of Call of Duty's thunders, there's always a chance, but it's very slim because EA and DICE haven't been able to get out of their own way for like the last 2 or 3 releases. Really the last 2, because Battlefield 1 was a solid game. And Call of Duty is going to sell despite itself. But the problem with games like X-Defiant that try to take on juggernauts, games that have been in the marketplace, not just as a singular game, but, as an entity in existence for so long, and have built up so many fans based on so many different things. The problem with that X-Defiant is going to have is quite plain and simple, like really just the pure size of Call of Duty, right? So it would be hard to argue that a lot of people aren't big fans of Call of Duty 6v6 gameplay. A lot of people don't like how the quote-unquote traditional modes of Call of Duty work anymore. However, in a game like Call of Duty, you have so many different options, right? I believe this is a Treyarch year, so this, a big hint, a big preview video dropped today. I guess they were shipping out their promo kits to influencers, and some of them started leaking videos, and it's obviously going to be a Gulf War scenario for this game. And like one of the previews in a little video that they sent these influencers was of the zombies mode. See, and that's the problem, right? We can sit here all day and talk about how much better X-Defiant 6v6 is than Call of Duty's, but X-Defiant doesn't have a zombies mode. X-Defiant doesn't have a Warzone style mode. X-Defiant doesn't even have team deathmatch or free-for-all. X-Defiant doesn't have a war mode like Call of Duty in the last few releases has gone out of their way to take a chunk or a bite out of Battlefield's playbook, right? There's a 32v32 mode in that game. I think in Modern Warfare 2, I think it was up to 128 players. So they actually went 64v64. They have so much in that game that you can literally not be satisfied with a good portion of it and still find something to play. And that qualifies for most people. Whereas with X-Defiant, once you get tired of, I think it's 7 or 8 maps in the game. Once you get tired of the guns, once you've had enough of the characters, you are essentially waiting for Ubisoft to put out more content. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Doom and Gloom when it comes to X-Defiant. Again, I like the game. I hope it makes it. I hope it lasts, because we do need alternatives. But I don't think Ubisoft has the team behind X-Defiant set up to deliver content at a click that is going to allow the game to keep up with what Call of Duty puts out. Between the skins from the different collaborations, I believe they got the Crow and Fallout and Gundam coming this season. Like between all of that stuff, last season they had Cheech and Chong and I forget what the other collaborations were, but between that crap and the maps that they put in the game and the modes that come in and out, they got so many modes they can make some of them LTMs, which means they're there for like 2 weeks and then they take them out. Even though they know they don't have to do that, they have so many they can do that. Like, I don't think X-Defiant is going to be able to keep pace with that. And you can disagree with me, but I mean, prove me wrong, right? Like, do you seriously think that Ubisoft has a roadmap for this game the way they do Rainbow Six? Now, if they have a roadmap similar to Rainbow Six, then it's very feasible, very possible, because Rainbow Six is really good at pouring out content at the pace it pours it out. But I don't think X-Defiant is set up that way. I'd be very surprised if it is. Now, if it is, then we need to revisit this conversation. But even still, if you're putting out content at a decent click, we're still talking about a lack of modes. We're still talking about a lack of gameplay variancy. Again, if no one wants to play that 6v6, where does that leave this game? Right? If you don't like Battlefield-style modes with smaller size teams, why would you want to play this? I think Ubisoft needs to at least put in TDM and free-for-all as quick as possible. They need to underlay that. That needs to happen sooner than it does later, because I mean, you already got the COD heads who, are going to be adamant defenders of Call of Duty and how it plays, and they're just not going to like X-Defiant because X-Defiant is not the game that they like. But pretty soon, even the people who love Even the people who love X Defiant, or at the very least are in heavy like with X Defiant, are going to turn on it because the maps are going to get old, the guns are going to get old. It's just not, you know, it's we're in the honeymoon. We're in the honeymoon phase with this game. I hope that I hope that they have a roadmap. I hope that they have a plan. There is a chance that they might have been playing it safe because they didn't know how well this game would be received when it came out. And hopefully, now that they've seen how well it's received, they start to roll out something. Because the one thing I've noticed about this generation of gamers is their attention spans are really, really fickle. And if you don't have something for them to do, they will walk away. They will complain a lot first, and then they will walk away. But the other thing I was talking about when it came to Ubisoft and this game being a COD killer is a lot of people don't understand. Ubisoft owns a part of Call of Duty. When the day Microsoft bought Call of Duty, Ubisoft was purchasing the cloud rights to every, I believe, Activision, Blizzard, and King game, which means in order to stream Call of Duty, you have to go through Ubisoft to get the streaming rights. Microsoft doesn't get those. Microsoft only gets physical and digital sales. They don't get streaming rights. Microsoft, in fact, has to go through Ubisoft in order for their customers to be able to stream Call of Duty on Game Pass Ultimate. So it would be in Ubisoft's worst interest to kill off a game they probably paid I'm going to guess, a hefty fee to get their hands on the rights to. You know what I'm saying? So when you hear the grifters and the influencers ranting about it being a Call of Duty killer, they are purposely not going to do that. They don't want Call of Duty killed because they intend to make money off of Call of Duty. They put money into Call of Duty to make money off of Call of Duty. They're not going to bring out a game to kill it. That's absurd. And then if you've seen the hype train for the newest COD, it's starting to ramp up. I don't know. It's coming to Game Pass day one. At least that's the word. So it should be an interesting game, and I'm waiting to see. If Activision was just, if they'll turn it up a notch and say, yeah, we're gonna have a non-skill based matchmaking playlist ourselves. I mean, at this point, it's just chess. It's a chess match between the players and the publisher. But there's high level manipulation going on for sure because, again, Ubisoft and Activision via Microsoft are not competing. This is, quite frankly, let's bounce these fans between these two games as much as we can, which is fine, as long as you understand that. If you're fighting for one side to win, you gotta understand you're fighting the same guys one way or the other. Outside of that, though, fun game. Give it a shot if you're into Call of Duty style games. It is fun. It is challenging, especially if you're used to, a lot of the tropes that Call of Duty has gotten people used to. But there is no skill-based matchmaking. Like I said, my kill death ratio on this game is not good at all. But I am 6-0 in this game. I have not lost a match yet, and I haven't played it again in a few days. I'm pretty sure I would have accumulated some losses by now, but I have been busy with other stuff, family stuff, work stuff. So, but a fun game, a great alternative. I actually enjoy what I play more than Call of Duty. So yeah, not bad at all. Like I said, the only concern I have with it, honestly, is how are they going to keep up with the content flow of Call of Duty? I don't think they're set up to do that. I could be wrong. I hope I am, but I don't think they are. Anyway, we can move on from that. I wanted to talk about Hellblade 2. Unfortunately, I have not cut it on yet. I'm kind of stuck between deciding whether I want to play it on my monitor that I have my Xbox set up on for shooters, or whether I want to set it up on a bigger, nicer TV to get the full fidelity of it. Because from what I understand, this game is beautiful, and the few things I have seen of it, it is very beautiful. And I also hear that the sound is killer in this game. It's funny though. You look at the Metacritic scores for the game, and I think it's averaging about like an 81 right now on Metacritic. And you hear some talking heads going back and forth about the game. Some people are saying it's an amazing experience. Some people, unanimously speaking, everyone has said that this game is gorgeous. Many have said it's the most beautiful game they've ever seen. But the big discourse seems to be that this is once again an overhyped Xbox game. Microsoft has failed to deliver on what they promised, which, as far as I know, they just promised that the game was going to look good. I never recall hearing anything about it being a game of the year. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, about a year ago, it was Ninja Theory themselves who came out and said, yeah, the game's only going to be about $50 because it's not going to be a very long experience. And if memory also serves me correctly, this game was kind of made in vain of being a study for people with schizophrenia or like mental issues where they hear voices and things like that. I don't know the proper term for it. Please don't burn me at the stake. But, this game, like the first one, was always meant to kind of be an experience. And the fact that you have people judging it as this is supposed to be their God of War is like, I've never seen anybody who's working on this game with display with those kind of intentions. However, with the internet being what it is and gamers on the internet being how they are, I expected the discourse around this game to be nothing less. Here's my thing. To me, and I haven't played it yet again, so I could be wrong, and I will revisit this conversation. I won't stick on this subject too long because I haven't played it, so I really don't have the right to have an opinion on it. But to me, this game should be judged in the same circle as something like the Men of Medan series of games that Namco publishes. I believe the same team also made a PlayStation game. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. It was the one that had like the young lady from Heroes from it and a couple other well-known teen actors from that time, mid 2010s. That game is more akin to what Hellblade is, right? Not a God of War, which is what I think a lot of let's just say content creators or grifters are comparing the two. And I'm not caping for the game again. I haven't played it. I honestly couldn't tell you how good or bad it is. I don't know. But I've never recall anybody saying that this game was going to be a system seller for Xbox. I never recall somebody saying this game was going to be their God of War. Like, Microsoft doesn't have a God of War, right? They don't. So the fact that that kind of weight was put on its shoulders kind of artificially by people who have an agenda is pretty weird, honestly. But it's part of course. If you pay attention to the internet gaming community, this is what we do. We find ways to win. We find ways to manufacture wins. The other guys lose, we win. Whatever the hell that nonsense means. But I don't think this game was meant to be something you play a million times over. I think this is something you're meant to experience, which is why the audio and the visuals are such high tier. A lot of people call it a tech demo. I don't think it's a tech demo. Again, I think it's just an experience. It's one of those games you play to get, just, a small kick out of. I don't think it's meant to be, this world breaking or world beating game. It's definitely not meant to be God of War. It's definitely not meant to be Horizon Zero Dawn. It's just meant to be something you play and you enjoy, and you say, man, that was cool what I did with that game. And that's it. Again, I could be wrong, but everything I've seen from it and heard about it says that that's what it's supposed to be. Why it's being judged as if it's supposed to be something completely different, beyond the simple fact that Microsoft has, we're more than we're past the time limit, so I'll go ahead and say it. They have a dog shit release cadence, right? So if you look at the numbers, or metrics, or however you want to whatever terminology you want to use for this game, it's sitting at an 81, right? I believe I said that already. Sitting at an 81 Metacritic score. I believe Rise of Ronin for PlayStation is sitting at a 79. It might have gone up, but I believe it was a 79 last I saw. And then Stellar Blade, the other PlayStation exclusive from the first 3 to 5 months of 2024, is sitting at an 82. So Hellblade sitting at 81 is not bad as the sole Microsoft exclusive experience, or console exclusive experience. 81 is not bad for that game, right? But the issue is, this is what they've given you in 5 months. You waited 5 months into 2024, and all they've given you is a game that, if you're not into experiences and you would rather have something that is a full-length 30 to 40 hour game, Microsoft has nothing for you right now. It is a little disconcerting that they own all of these studios and yet still have not gotten their release cadence to at least a point where every 3 months their players are getting either a game or an experience that they can talk about. I asked my friends, actual gamers, real gamers, I believe I asked them, what are you getting Grand Theft Auto 6 on? And it's like, well, if it's, something where they give me a bonus for staying on the same console, I'm probably going to get it on PlayStation. I've always bought it on PlayStation. But the statement he said that really narrows down or has something to do with this conversation, he's like, man, I really don't play my Xbox unless it's Rainbow Six. There's no reason to. And that's the problem Microsoft has. You really need to give people a reason to be involved with your ecosystem. It's cool that every once in a while you're throwing games that came out 6 months ago into Game Pass and stuff like that. That's awesome, because people don't always want to spend $70 on that stuff, right? And sometimes they don't even want to be bothered with it unless it's on a ridiculous sale or it's in Game Pass. They just want to try it through there and see if they want to buy it, right? But you can't tell me you have 30 studios and you don't have a every 3 months release cadence. That's ridiculous. They gotta fix that crap. It's really stupid, and I don't count Power World, because you can play Power World on PC. For all intents and purposes, that would mean I wouldn't count anything, right? No, we're gonna be fair, but we gotta be realistic here. What is Microsoft themselves putting out? I understand they have live service games. Technically, Call of Duty keeps getting updated, and Forza keeps getting updated, and all that stuff. That's great, but it has to be something else, because you're not guaranteed to get everybody's attention with stuff they've already seen. This is the market you're dealing with. These are the consumers you're dealing with. The current release cadence that they have is not enough. It isn't. I'm sorry. They've got to change that. They have all of these studios. It can't be once every 6 months we're putting out something. Now, that actually leads us right into our next topic. As I've stated earlier, we are heading into convention time, or showcase time. June's right around the corner, and on June 9th, Microsoft has a big, I want to say it's probably about an hour and a half show, followed by a 15 to 30-minute Call of Duty premiere for Black Ops 6. Addressing what I was just talking about, I think it would be great for Microsoft to shadow drop a few games and maybe reveal a few games that were talked about during the last month or so's discourse over what Microsoft is heading toward being, what they're trying to be for in the future. Obviously a lot of questions are in the air as far as are they going to go third party? Are they going to remain first party? And I think the answer has actually been clear. It's just that people keep making videos because, one, most people aren't very original. Two, some people just aren't thinking. The truth of the matter is, and we have to be realistic with ourselves, and I don't like name dropping, but if you're a person that pays enough attention to the internet gaming community, you'll have a strong idea of who I'm talking about. You've got people who have switched sides, so to speak, over the fact that Microsoft has decided that, they are going to publish their games on the PlayStation console, on the Nintendo console, despite when first having purchased Bethesda, them saying games will be exclusively where Game Pass is. Now, mind you, I also do recall, and this is no excuse, but I also do recall Phil Spencer saying, where it makes sense, we will publish games on multiple platforms. Well, a big rumor, and Jez Corden of Windows Central, seemed to confirm, is that Doom Year Zero, I don't think it's called Year Zero anymore. I think it's called the Dark Ages. It's supposed to be like a middle-aged themed Doom, which should be very interesting. He's confirmed that game is coming out and that it's multi-platform. Well, that makes sense as a multi-platform game because you sold PlayStation gamers Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. Why can't they buy the new one? Why can't they finish the story? It wouldn't make sense to say, yeah, you can't have that. You have to come to Xbox. And a gamer who wants to quote unquote win and wants to quote unquote have something to say in the argument of what the better console is would be upset about that because Microsoft lied to them. Well, here's the thing. Microsoft didn't lie to you. You lied to yourself. Okay? All of these guys that are switching sides and now they're PlayStation guys and all of this stupid nonsense. Look, you lied to yourself for 20 years about what Microsoft was. In 1, 2, 3, 4 generations, they have never won. They've never won. The closest they came to winning when Sony absolutely slipped on the biggest banana peel and said, yeah, we're going to charge you $600, which is closer to $700 almost, for a console that's going to come out a year later. It's not really going to have any great exclusives until damn near the end of its life cycle. It's going to be harder for developers to make games on, which is why we're going to lose a lot of our exclusives to Xbox. That thing still outsold the Xbox 360. Yes, Xbox 360, I believe, reached 89, maybe a low 90s millions units sold, and the PS3 still outsold it. PS3, which is probably without question Sony's worst console, right? Even though PS5 is doing a pretty damn good job of showing that up. And not so much because of what it does, just the releases have not been, outside of one or two games, it really hasn't been much, which says a lot about what the Xbox Series is, right? But in 4 generations, Xbox has never won. In 4 generations, Xbox has only continued to exist because Microsoft has a shitload of money and can afford to take the loss as long as they have some kind of software that sells well enough to keep the ship afloat. The first Xbox, it was Halo. Second Xbox, it was Fable, Halo, and Gears of War. Xbox One, it was Game Pass, and the Xbox Series is barely selling any units, but it's still around largely because of Game Pass, and it's probably going to still be around because of Call of Duty and all the other stuff that they've bought the last few years, the Bethesda stuff, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. Microsoft is not lying. They know what they're talking about. At this point, there is no way in hell that they are going to beat Sony or Nintendo at selling consoles. It's not realistic. Tell yourself a better lie. Don't tell that one. Okay? They know what they have to do, which is why they're doing what they're doing now. They know that they have to sell their games everywhere. You bought 2 of the biggest third-party publishers in the world, so guess what? You're now the biggest third-party publisher in the world, and that's fine. The same people I asked about, why they, where they might be buying Grand Theft Auto 6, I asked them, if all the Microsoft games came out on PlayStation, would you get rid of your Xbox and just buy games on PlayStation? You know the first question they asked me? Well, do I get to take my Game Pass stuff with me? And when I told them no, they said absolutely not. That's why Xbox isn't going away. You can sit here all day and listen to the fucking grifters. Oh, the Game Pass numbers are stagnated, all that. Who cares? Right? 25 million people subscribe to Game Pass. They're not going to throw those 25 million people away because the numbers are stagnated. They're going to try and do things to grow it, which is why they're putting Call of Duty in Game Pass this fall. Which is why they're going to continue to throw things in Game Pass this fall. And if they, for God's sakes, ever hit some kind of stride when it comes to releasing games at a regular to decent cadence at the very least, those numbers are probably going to grow. Like, never forget the guy you guys love to say is always wrong, Michael Pachter, said they're going to hit a ridiculous number of subscribers when it comes to Game Pass. And I think Call of Duty is going to help them do that. Once people realize this fall, look, you can either give us $17.99 and play Call of Duty and all these other games in Game Pass, or you can go spend $70 to buy it on PlayStation. I don't think the choice is going to be that hard for people with brains in their head. Now, they're not going to necessarily buy an Xbox to play it, but they'll play it on PC. You can tell yourself a lie all you want to and say they won't. I don't believe in lying to myself. I'm not an idiot. And I'm sorry if that sounds judgmental or not, but like, dude, be serious. Like, that's what's going to happen. They're literally 2 or 3 releases and 4 or 5 announcements, which I do believe they're going to make in June, from getting a flood of Game Pass subscriptions. If the rumors are to be true, or the rumors are to be believed to be true, I should say, and at this showcase, they announce, more or less, shadow drop, but if they announce the Gears of War collection, if they shadow drop it on June 9th, Sunday, 2024, if they shadow drop the Marcus Phoenix Gears collection, that is an automatic, you hear me? That's an automatic dub. if they announce it and it comes out this fall, which I don't think it will, because this fall seems to already be very busy for them. I believe Avowed's supposed to come out this fall and Indiana Jones is supposed to come out this fall. If that ends up being the case, and they also release Gears, they're going to have such a busy schedule of games this fall, as long as they hit their damn cadence, which is really the important thing, right? They're going to have such a busy schedule that a lot of people are going to be very compelled to subscribe to Game Pass. If you're telling people that they get Call of Duty, Indiana Jones, Gears of War, and Avowed for $17.99 this fall, $17.99 a month this fall, dude, stop it. Stop it. This is ridiculous. They're not leaving the console market. There is no they can't win it, right? Which is why you're going to see the next Xbox really become way more similar to a PC. It kind of has to be. At this point, Microsoft will be foolish not to lean into the one strength they have, which is, the Xbox's familial proximity to Windows and what Windows gaming is as an entity, right? You might as well take advantage of that. And I truly believe the next console will do that. And I think that, again, Microsoft is one good stride away from filling up those Game Pass subscriptions. They're not going to match consoles with PlayStation. They can't do that. 4 generations have proven that they can't do that. They can't really make games with Sony. Sony's better at that than them. Sony's built these relationships with these studios for decades. It's not the same. It's just not. The biggest ace that they have in their pocket is that they'll be the home of the Elder Scrolls games and Fallout and all that stuff. And I honestly believe there's going to be a shadow drop of some kind at this June 9th showcase. Because there's way too much rumor, man. And let's get into that. Because, this whole Xbox leaving the console market is a bunch of dumb shit. Bunch of dumb shit from fearmongers, console fanboys, grifters, and idiots. They're not leaving the console market. They're just never going to win it, right? They're going to have to mutate it into something that they can get some kind of traction out of, because they're never going to win it, right? They'll never beat Sony. They'll never beat Nintendo. It's just not realistic to even expect to. So if you can't win the market as it is, mutate the market. Change the market to something where you can get wins. Not necessarily win, but get wins. And that's what they're doing. Thus, $80 billion, I believe, the last quarter of 2023. Turn it into something you can get dubs out of. All that being said, let's get into this June showcase, man. The rumors are crazy, right? Apparently, we're going to see Perfect Dark. Apparently, we're going to see obviously Call of Duty, Avowed, Indiana Jones. I'm hearing rumors of State of Decay 3 possibly showing up. I've seen from Jess Corton that Avowed has moved to Unreal Engine 5.3. That's interesting that they've shifted it to a complete, because I believe Avowed was originally shown in Unreal Engine 4. I mean, we just saw Unreal Engine 5 with Hellblade, so I don't think it'll look that good, but I mean, damn, that's something, right? We're apparently also going to be getting either an announcement of the Fallout 3 remake. I think if we don't get a shadow drop, and that game will be multi-platform, obviously, but I think if we don't get a shadow drop of Gears of War Marcus Phoenix collection, we definitely get a shadow drop of Fallout 3 remaster. And that'll be on PlayStation and Xbox that day, but it'll obviously be on Game Pass that day, which will be amazing, right? I think that we also get an announcement for Oblivion remaster. Because Elder Scrolls, let's just face the facts here. Elder Scrolls and the next Fallout are at least 4 to 5 and 10 years away, respectfully. Just being honest, the way Ty Howard's brain is set up, it's gonna take him and his team a decade. You're probably gonna get a peek. Speaking of Ty Howard, you're probably gonna get a peek at the Shattered Space DLC for Starfield. And I mean, I don't know, man. What if Perfect Dark shows up and it looks amazing? What if State of Decay 3 ends up being this, way bigger deal than it's ever been? Apparently that's Unreal Engine 5 as well. Gears of War 6 announcement is supposed to happen. And then I'm also hearing that apparently if you are a fan of Japanese style RPGs from the Xbox 360 era, you might really want to pay close attention to what's going to happen during this showcase, because I don't know. I don't want to overhype that, but it sounds like either they're working on a sequel to either Blue Dragon or Lost Odyssey, or something else is happening with those. I don't really know. This showcase is lining up to be very, very interesting, to say the least. So this idea that the Xbox is just going to go away, that's stupid, right? They're losing. They've always lost. There's nothing new there, right? If you're a Xbox fanboy and you're upset that Microsoft is losing and Microsoft is changing their strategy based on how much they lose, then I mean, what fucking rock have you been hiding under for the last 23 years? They've never won. They've never won. And to be honest with you, and this may not be a good omen, but like Sega and Nintendo in the past, long time ago, used to put their games on everything. Because that's really not a new concept, right? You make money where you can. There's Mario Brothers games on like old computers. Like, I can't tell you how many versions of Afterburner there are on non-Sega consoles. Like, this stuff isn't new, right? Microsoft's doing something that was done all the time. It's just that now your mindsets have been flipped for the last 2 or 3 decades to this idea that, stuff should pop up anywhere. It's like even Sony, right? Like the first Wipeout was on the Sega Saturn. Now, mind you, Sony didn't own that company at that point, but that is a PlayStation series. But you can get the first Wipeout on the Sega Saturn. As a matter of fact, I think you can get the first Wipeout on the Nintendo 64. So this shit isn't new, man. Sony made this whole idea of keep it exclusive, and then Nintendo, they did it too, but putting your stuff everywhere isn't new. And honestly, if Microsoft can see that we're not going to sell a lot of consoles, but we can make money selling games to people on places, like, here's my thing. You spend all of this money making these games. Are you going to sit back and hope and pray, even though for 4 generations, 2 decades now, no one has done it? You want to sit back and hope and pray that all of these PlayStation guys and all of these Nintendo guys just up and decide to buy Xboxes? 2 decades you've been doing this. 2 decades you've been putting out stuff to appeal to these people, and they don't fuck with you. They won't touch anything you make. They don't want Xboxes. Only a brain dead moron says, well, I guess I'm not going to make money off of it and keep it here. Like, dude, okay. You don't want to buy my console? Give me $70. You can play the game where you got it. You can play the game on anything you want. Just give me $70. Who's the idiot? Who's the fucking idiot? Seriously, think about that. If I'm giving you an opportunity to subscribe to a service where you get to play all of these games, and you decide, no, I'd rather play it on this machine and give them $70 to have access to it, who's the fucking idiot? Especially something like a Call of Duty, right? Like, think about it. We can sit here all day and talk about ownership and owning physical copies, and I get that. You know, I own a ton of physical copies of games. I get the whole collector thing and ownership. I am not against that at all. But if you're a PC player, you can get the step right the fuck out of this conversation, because all you own are access keys to games largely. Like, show me a motherfucker who has an extensive physical collection of PC games. Please. Because they ain't had those in years. Well over a decade and some change. They don't make physical copies of PC games anymore. And worse yet, you guys are getting all your games through a fucking a digital storefront. Not that I believe this rumor is true, right? But let Gabe decide to sell fucking Steam to somebody who could mishandle it like a Microsoft for fucking $6 billion. Some of you motherfuckers, include myself, have thousands of Steam games. What's going to happen with that? You don't own anything physical, right? So nobody on fucking PC, I think, is even trying to have that argument, because it doesn't make any sense. You motherfuckers don't even own physical copies of your games, right? Even buying them legit, you don't own them. I own thousands of games on Steam. I don't really own those games, right? The moment that the server that allows me to access those games is shut down, something happens to Steam, something happens to Epic's Game Store, that shit's just gone. I've wasted my money, right? Let's just be realistic about that. With PlayStation, guys, if you're so adamant about your dislike for Xbox, and that's fine, you don't have to like Xbox. I totally get it. They don't make themselves easy to like. But if you're so adamant about that, but you want to play Call of Duty, cough up that $70. You want to play the new Indiana Jones? $70. You want to play that, you know what I'm saying? You want to play Avowed when it eventually is ported to the PlayStation? Give them $70. You want to play Hellblade? That's going to be $50. This is how you're going to get your games. If you're fine with that, if you like it, I love it. I have a PS5. I'm not doing that shit. That shit's stupid. I want to play the shit where I can get access to all of it for one low price. I buy God of War and Horizon and shit like that on my PlayStation. I'm not buying $70 games I get somewhere else for much cheaper price. Only a moron says that. And you get these goofy motherfuckers as well. Oh, you must be broke. Like, no, you must be stupid. You're an idiot. Rich people don't blow their money in dumb ways. They just don't. I'm not saying I'm rich, but I'm not a fucking moron. Right? And that's the same thing goes triple for the converts, right? The guys are, I don't like Xbox anymore because they're giving their games everywhere else. Okay, then go spend $70 on the other side. Right? The only reason that you flipped and you turned and you switched up and all this other goofy shit is because you were too heavily invested in that console war shit in the first place. You're a fucking weirdo. I'm sorry. I don't want to be mean. I know this is constructive game critiques, but I gotta be honest with you, man. Anybody who's that mentally bent out of shape because a $1 billion corporation decided, you know what, we can make money this way. Excuse me, a $3 trillion company decided, you know what, we can make money this way. If you're so bent out of shape that they decided that this is the best way for them to make more money, because obviously they're greedy, you don't become a $1 trillion company without having some levels of greed in you, right? If you're upset because they decided we're going to make even more money doing this, then you were too invested in this shit in the first place. You can go ahead and flip and flop as many times as you want to. As King David said, you're just going to be a fucking trophy. You're just going to be a trophy for the other fanboys. All you motherfuckers are weird. Right? Like, as much as a fan as I am of the Xbox platform, I always keep a PlayStation because I always know the better exclusives are always going to be there, right? As much as a fan I am of the Xbox platform and the ideas and the things that Microsoft brings to the table, I know that when it comes to execution, they don't deliver the way Nintendo and Sony does. The thing that Microsoft does that is push the industry forward with ideas, right? They were the first ones to have voice chat in their online games, right? They set up the lobby system with Halo, uh, Game Pass, right? The idea that you could buy your games from a digital storefront on console instead of having to get them on physical. So I believe the Xbox did that first. Hell, Microsoft brought Netflix to consoles. It was on there first, if I remember correctly. You had to pop the disc in to access it, but that's what it was. Like, dude, they haven't ever won a generation, but they've contributed. Most first-person shooters play the way they do now because of Halo. I remember first-person shooters, you could carry the entire arsenal if you found it on the map. Now it's 2 guns, a grenade, maybe 2 kinds of grenades, and, an ability. What game did that first? That was Halo. So Microsoft definitely contributed things to it. They've never won, though. And they never were going to win. Sony was too embedded. Nintendo was way too embedded. It's just not going to happen. Same thing I said, like, with the Call of Duty stuff. This game, X Defiant, is a great game. But at the end of the day, there's way too much behind Call of Duty, which is a cultural icon, for them to be like, yeah, we're just going to wipe Call of Duty off the map. Now, your traditional whiners and complainers about Call of Duty and skill-based matchmaking, all this stuff, the guys who make content off of it and get mad because they can't win all the time, yeah, they're going to love X Defiant because they can win all the time. Because it's way more skill-based. But the problem is, the main people that Call of Duty sells to are the people that don't give a shit about this stuff. And they're still going to buy Call of Duty every year. But both games can exist and prosper. And that's fine. And the same thing can be said for all these consoles. Nobody's ever going to care about Xbox as much as they do PlayStation, Nintendo. Do that after the second generation. When they launched a year ahead and they did so well that they stole games that were supposed to be exclusives. There was no reason that Grand Theft Auto 4's content came out first on Xbox for like a year. There was no reason that Assassin's Creed, that was originally planned as a PS3 exclusive, ended up coming on Xbox the same fucking day. So did Devil May Cry 4. Remember Devil May Cry was a PS series only? It came out on Xbox 360 the same day it came out on PS3. That was their best generation, and they still lost. And you gotta get these weird motherfuckers who was so adamant about this idea that regardless of what history has shown you, that Microsoft would just spin their way into being the number one console on the market. Now, I think financially right now, they might be the number one earner amongst first parties. They were never going to be number one console. That's a pipe dream. When I said that Microsoft made themselves undeniable with the purchase of Activision, what I was saying was that now, even though the Xbox won't be the best-selling console, even though the Xbox won't be the most popular console, third parties are way more compelled to put their games on that platform regardless. You know why? Because that's the platform you can just get Call of Duty on. Xbox isn't going to outsell PlayStation. That's never going to be a thing, right? But who the fuck don't want to be able to get Call of Duty for $17.99 when 18 million people buy it every year? Are you serious? Like, let's get our heads out our asses here. Like, they're never going to win, but the moves they made have been about getting an advantage, not winning. Winning's not in the cards. It's about getting an advantage. It's about at least having an ace in your pocket, and that ace is Call of Duty. That ace is Blizzard. That ace is Bethesda. Those are their aces. That's how they stay in this thing. It's not about winning, though. It's about surviving. It's about saying, you know what? We're doing well enough to not end this shit. And that's fine, especially when you're making as much money as they're making. More games from the Xbox lineup are going to end up on PlayStation. Now, does that mean Halo's going to end up on PlayStation? I don't know. I really don't care. It could. It could not. Gears might end up on there. Certainly a lot of the stuff from the companies they bought. I expect to see the new Doom on there. I expect to see the Fallout remaster, the Oblivion remaster. I expect Hellblade at some point to end up on PlayStation because the first one came out on PlayStation. You're going to deny those people the ability to finish their story? You'll deny those people to give you $50 each to finish that story? Oh yeah, buy the PlayStation version. You know, the controller rumbles when Senya was crying and shit. You like that, right? $50. Why the fuck wouldn't they sell it to these people? Why the fuck wouldn't they sell them these games? They're not going to buy the console. They don't fuck with Xbox. Okay, fine. You don't fuck with us. Give me $50 for the game. Like, again, the grifters and the weird ass fanboys and the motherfuckers who were too heavily invested in this and did nothing but make excuses for Microsoft when they fucked up, didn't call them out on their bullshit. Those motherfuckers are upset and they're gonna cry. Oh, I'm a PlayStation guy now. PlayStation's so good. I can't believe I wasted my time on Xbox. Well, I can't believe you wasted that much time either. You're a fucking idiot. Regardless of how much I like Xbox, I always kept the PlayStation in my house because I know they're not going to win. They're going to put forth an effort. It might be good. It might be bad. They're going to put forth an effort. They're going to bring out games that Sony doesn't bring out because, you know, as it follows, you have to put out something to go against the competition. And some of that stuff might be pretty good. In a few generations it has been. And I think this generation is going to prove to be one of those times where they put out a couple of good games once they finally hit their cadence, whenever the fuck that is. But this idea that they were going to just beat them and getting mad because they're putting their games on other consoles because they want to make money is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, these goofy motherfuckers overreacting to this shit like they work there, acting like they lost their jobs. Clown shit. Clown shit. These motherfuckers have way bigger problems to worry about than fucking Microsoft putting their games on other platforms. This shit is stupid. Right? Weird motherfuckers. I hate to pick on people or label them, but it's the truth. Right? You shouldn't be that heavily invested in anything. You take it from a motherfucker who watched Sega die. It is what it is, dude. Sega didn't make the moves that these motherfuckers are making. Sega had to be forced to make these moves. Microsoft is preempting. It's like, you know what? We're still part of the council. We're going to put our games everywhere. Because if motherfuckers hate us so much, you want to play these games because we buying company who make games that y'all like playing, give us money. You either going to subscribe to this Game Pass or you going to give me that $70. I'm getting your fucking money. What's dumb about that? Please tell me what's dumb about that. Well, that doesn't drive people to the council. People weren't buying the fucking council anyway. Who cares? Microsoft is literally on, look, you either don't give me this money or you're going to give me this fucking money. If you don't get that, I don't know. I mean, that's some hustler shit. I'm either going to get this money or I'm going to get this money, but I'm getting this money. The motherfucking suits at Microsoft, them dudes that's investors, they saw that buying one company, not even buying one company, but they're publishing one franchise for one quarter, netted them $80 billion. They published Call of Duty and it netted them $80 billion. And y'all motherfuckers talking about, well, why are you giving the games to PlayStation? Because motherfucker, they made $80 billion off one game. That's why. Are you fucking serious? Are you serious? Are you dumb? There's probably a mindset at Microsoft that says, look, I actually wonder if we'll get higher ratings when we publish games on, because it certainly worked with Hi-Fi Rush, didn't it? Motherfuckers rated that game on average higher on PlayStation, didn't they? Now you can sit here and say, oh, it's the controller. I call bullshit, right? I call bullshit on that. Like, you're talking about a company who understands, these motherfuckers aren't dumb, right? They understand that News publications are against them. Gamers are against them. You know, despite whatever kind of goodwill they try to do, there's always somebody. Anytime something bad happens with them, oh, let's publish it and make it a big deal. But if something bad happens with Sony or Nintendo, let's keep it under wraps. It's not that we don't need to talk about that. Bad Xbox news is just as it's just as attractive and clickable as good PlayStation news. Matter of fact, it's probably even more so because people just love to bag on them. So it's just like, I wonder, I honestly, and I don't think this is true, but it would be funny if it was, right? I wonder if somebody at Microsoft was like, you know what? Let's put games out on PlayStation day and date and see how much higher our fucking ratings are for each of those games. Let's see if all of a sudden games that probably would have been, I don't know, an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. So I mean, let's say 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Let's see if they end up being 9s because PlayStation got it the same day and that's what they wanted. So let's just see if that's what happens. Because honestly, I mean, the Xbox tax shit might be real, dog. Like, it, even in reading the reviews for like a Hellblade, and again, I hate speaking on it too much because I have not played it myself yet. But even in reading the reviews on it, right, it seems like motherfuckers understood what it was when the first game came out, but all of a sudden the second game came out and it's only on Xbox, and now we don't understand why the gameplay is like this, and you know the gameplay isn't good at all, and blah blah blah. But it's like the gameplay wasn't that great in the first one. You motherfuckers gave it 8s and 9s. So what changed? What changed? They rated that game. So, full context, I did play a little bit of Hellblade 1. And I played Rise, Son of Rome. Rise, Son of Rome, basically the same kind of camera perspective. Very good looking game. Very underrated game. I think Rise, Son of Rome averaged like a 70 or 60 something Metacritic score. They dogged that game out. Guess what it was only on, console-wise? It's only on Xbox. Meanwhile, Hellblade was only on PlayStation 4 when it came out. It didn't come out on Switch and Xbox until later on. Switch much later on, as a matter of fact. But it was only on Xbox like a year or two later. It was on PlayStation for like almost 2 years, I think, exclusively. And I think it got nominated for Game of the Year. I know it won some awards. Ain't that a bitch? Don't you think that's funny? Now, this is what you want to keep a close eye on. What happens when that game comes out on PS5 a year from now? March 2025, May 2025, when Hellblade 2 comes out on PS5, or maybe even by this Christmas 2025, depends on when Microsoft feels like they want to make the money off the motherfuckers, right? What happens when it comes out on there? What's the first thing they go, oh, the controller makes the experience so much more, blah, 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 blah. It's an extra 2 points. Now it's a 9 out of 10 game. PlayStation, I saw one motherfucker say that Hi-Fi Rush on PlayStation is the superior experience because of the controller. The controller. That's a fucking joke. So, and mind you, I understand, I get it, the haptic feedback and all that shit, that's cool, but no. Just stop it, right? Fucking ridiculous. This is, my thing is, maybe somebody in Xbox camp is like, you know, let's see how real this Xbox tech shit is. I think Fallout 3 Remaster comes out the same day on Xbox as it on PlayStation as it does on Xbox. It's just being Game Pass. I think that happens. And I think it's going to get significantly higher scores because of that. Same thing with Oblivion. Same thing with a lot of shit. And I don't blame Microsoft. Make money the way you can make, because you can't sell a console for shit. You can't sell accounts for shit. Motherfuckers don't want Xboxes. Largely, they just don't. So the motherfuckers want to give you $70 for the game. They don't want to subscribe to Game Pass. Give me your $70. I'll take it. Why not? Make the money the best way you can. And if this next console or whatever the hell it's supposed to be, it's hybrid, is some kind of a PC thing, cool. Let it be that. You know, put your Steam on it, put Epic on it, give it a Windows mode. Give me a button, switch to Windows mode, lean into that Windows shit. You make Windows, fuck it, just lean into it. Because you're not gonna sell consoles on Nintendo and Sony's level. You put your best shot out there 2 generations ago, you'll never repeat that again. You have to be realistic about that. But folks, for the sake of your own level-headedness, don't follow any of these fucking grifters that are just like too highly invested in that shit. It's stupid. It's stupid as hell. This is why they've flown off this is why they've flown over the cuckoo's nest. This is why they've flipped sides and now they're doing all of this inflammatory shit online. Let them do that. The same, like, you leaned too hard in the first place. You were leaning way too fucking hard. And now here you are. Goofball. Anyway, I think we're about an hour and some change. Yeah, I think that's a good time to call it, man. I don't have much else to talk about. Again, flying solo tonight, but we will be back hopefully within the week. Definitely catch our what should be live podcast for the Xbox showcase. That'll be on June 9th, 2 weeks from the day I'm recording this. And yeah, we'll see you there, and maybe we'll throw in some content next week just to build up toward that prediction and so on and so forth, because I believe Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Ubisoft all have shows coming up. So yeah, it should be fun. And then the Keeley thing, which is going to have its own surprises and everything. The Math Chief, which is a really great YouTuber, does a bunch of indie games. He usually puts on the show too. So it should be very fun, interesting times coming up in the next couple of weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, this gaming shit is fun. Keep a level head. Stay away from the grifters. Just enjoy your games. Don't take any of this shit seriously, and be logical. Motherfucker can't lose 4 times in a row over 20-something years, and then you expect them to just be like, yeah, we're just gonna lock all of this stuff over here. It's like, dude, no. As soon as it stopped making financial sense, it wasn't gonna happen anymore. Like, don't. Yeah, I don't even know where the hell they got that one from. Oh, but the executives promised us. Who the fuck are you? You're nobody. You're a person that buys video games. You're a fan. Unless you got a couple billion or $1 trillion to give them so they can recover, your input means nothing. But thanks for thanks for glazing us for 10 years. We appreciate it. Anyway, I'm done. I promise. I'll see you guys on the next show, man, and have a blessed one.